What's up, good people? How y'all doing out there today? This is Reggie.
And I'm Ebony.
And we want to welcome you guys to the first episode of our brand new podcast that we've entitled Elevate from Burnout to Bliss. Now, this podcast was designed for professionals in their 40s and 50s who feel stuck in the grind of career fatigue and burnout. Down through the years, I've talked to so many people that kind of get right there in the middle of their profession, and they're not really ready to retire, but they do crave new opportunities and maybe some financial freedom. And they're looking for something that will reignite and fuel their passions. Now, I'm telling you, if that describes you guys, this is your space.
So I definitely want you to join us for inspiring stories, expert insights, and actionable strategies that can actually help you explore your side hustles, rediscover your purpose, and maybe even transform some non-career interests you have into a fulfilling venture. It's time to break free from burnout and embrace your next act with energy and excitement. So I want you to tune in every week and start reigniting your spark.
So, Ebony, before we get going, let's take a second just to kind of tell the people a little bit about our story and just give them a little background about who we are. And, that way they can get just a better understanding of how this whole thing came about.
Okay. So I'm Ebony. And Reggie's my husband. And back in 2002, we started P3 Financial Group. We have various backgrounds. My background was in accounting and auditing for a major restaurant company. And we just found that working together would be a good fit.
Yeah, it was a good fit. It's been a good ride so far. Hope it stays that way. But no, I'm just playing. But no, it was a good fit. But kind of what led to, as Ebony mentioned, her background is in accounting. Mine is in financial planning. Been in this field now for a total of 26 years. And like I mentioned in the introduction, down through the years, I've just had so many people to say, Reg, I really see it happen around age 45 when people start to feel the weight of their career. That's when the light kind of goes off and they say, I'm not sure if what I'm doing is going to be enough. Really concerned about, retirement and a lot of other things. And that's when people really start to hit that wall of what we commonly known as burnout or career fatigue. I'm sure you've talked to people that's experienced the same thing, Evan.
Definitely. It's this point in time in their careers when I've noticed that a lot of my peers that are about 20, 25 years into their careers, they're at an impasse because they love what they do. However, they've been doing it so long, they don't get the same fulfillment out of it, but they're not ready to just toss it aside because of everything that they've invested into their career.
Yeah.
But they want to have something else that may be aligned with their career or may be completely different that can start to give them the freedom that if they decide to do something different and retire from their career, they still have a way to be fulfilled and they still have a way to have income.
Yep, I get that. And I'll just take a second right here, just kind of talk about my own personal story with career burnout. And, I know that I do what I was called to do. I have no doubt this is what God placed me on this planet to do, and that's to help people make good financial decisions with their money. But around, and as I mentioned, I started doing this back in 99. Around 2018 is when I really started to feel, the crazy part is at that time I didn't know it was burnout. So it's not like a sign goes off and say, hey, you're feeling career burnout. That wasn't it at all. But what it was, I no longer I found it more difficult to get excited about what I was doing. There was a time I couldn't wait to get through the front door of the office, last one to leave. I would just have to pull myself away, but I was seeing that slip away. And quite frankly, there was a point where I wondered if I needed to do something 100% different because, again, I was, in fact, feeling that. And what I did, I was able to take a step back, and I realized that I needed to come out of the weeds a little bit, out of the minute details of my practice, and I brought in additional staff to get down in there, which allowed me to take a more global approach to the practice, and that breathed new life back into my career. But I 100% felt that burn, and I started to add new ventures, new investment opportunities, and things like that outside of the practice that gave me kind of a new and renewed spark. So that's just kind of how how I dealt with it.
And there's always going to be days in your current career, your current path, where you're just not feeling it that day. Like there's been a couple of days when I walk in the office and you be like, you know what, I quit. And I don't quit for real, but that day I felt like quitting my own job, my own business. But once you have a series of days or a series of weeks or series of months where you're feeling that way, then I think you know you're experiencing burnout and it's time to figure out what to do differently.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, according to Wikipedia, so let me give you like a textbook definition. It says burnout is a syndrome conceptualized as resulting from chronic workspace stress that has not been successfully managed. It's characterized by three dimensions: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion. That's one. Two, increased mental distance from one's job, or feelings of negativity or cynicism related to one's job. And three, reduced professional efficiency.
So are you saying it's not just stress?
I know it's deeper than stress. It's definitely deeper than stress. Stress is, really situational. Obviously, you got to manage stress, but no, it's way deeper than that. And one of the key words I saw there was chronic. It's a chronic condition. But let's dig into that first one. I mean, when you look at, you're talking about feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion.
That's when you know you've gotten a good night's sleep, but you get to work and just the thought of all of the tasks or all of the projects in front of you, you're just mentally exhausted and you can't get up for it.
Yeah. I remember, again, when I was kind of going through this, I've always been a morning person, but I jump up, get to the office around 7:30, 8, and I could feel it coming on around probably like 11:30, 12. By 1 o'clock, I've grabbed me a bite to eat for lunch. 1:30, man, look, I'm on all I'm thinking about is getting to the house. By 2 o'clock, I am shutting it down, dragging myself to the house, and just pouring myself into a chair, couch, or something, and it wasn't physical tiredness. It was just a mental, like I just could not get ahead.
Right. And it's almost like you weren't ever untired.
Yeah.
Like you started the day mentally tired.
That's exactly right.
Instead of being refreshed. What was another symptom?
The second one was increased mental distance from one's job or feelings of negativity or cynicism related to the job. Mental distance.
You know what? If you ever find yourself in a situation where you've messed something up at work and you don't care, then I think that's a prime example of being disassociated from your job and your task.
Yeah. And depending on what you do, you better care.
Yeah.
Because depending on what you do, could definitely spell, can have obviously grave consequences for you and whatever you're supposed to be getting done.
Right. And definitely if you can recount a time where you actually did care.
This part right here where it says feelings of negativity related to the job, you can actually start to pick out everything that's wrong. Now, there was a time when you first got the position or you first opened a business or whatever, everything was right. You were excited. It was the perfect position. It was the perfect business. But now all you can think about is my manager this, my supervisor that, or these clients this, or these customers that. And
these patients.
Everything. The insurance company not paying. Everything is wrong. It's really no different than what it was day one. What's changed is you've changed. So now what used to be optimism is now pessimistic outlook.
And that outlook rubs off on people. It spills.
Yeah. Yes. And if you're in a position, let me say this real quick. If you're in a position of leadership at your job, it's spilling to those who either report to you or those whose job is influenced by what it is you do. So you kind of infecting you, and especially if you're a business owner, you're infecting your whole company.
Right. I can't remember the name, you may remember, of the book that we read, and it talked about the leader of the sales team had a negative attitude, and they infected their entire sales team. And as a result, the sales team did poorly.
Yep. I can see the book title. I can see it, but I can't pull the title up, but I can see the cover in my head.
We'll figure it out.
It was it was the one we had to take that big assessment for. Remember, it came with the long. I can't think of it. It's probably over there on the shelf right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, man. So you gotta, again, and I think obviously it starts with awareness and knowing that, hey, I'm right in the middle of this. And then, and later on in this particular podcast, we're going to talk about some solutions and things you can do. But right now, we're just kind of setting the table again for why we started this, who this is going to be for, because going forward, we're going to be bringing in guests who are very successful in their line of work. We're going to be introducing a lot of things, a lot of ideas, and again, practical things that you can do to not only break free of whatever burnout you may be feeling, but really plot the back nine, if you will, of your career path.
Right.
All right. So let's look at this last one. Reduced professional. It actually says efficacy. Is what it actually says. But go ahead.
We're gonna say effectiveness.
Yeah, let's say effectiveness.
So reduce professional effectiveness. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I said efficacy.
Efficacy. Yeah. Got it. How productive and how effective are you at work? If you notice that you're just not getting the job done, you come in and there's a task, something on your desk, and you can't get it out of the starting blocks, or it's been lagging, something that should have taken you 30 minutes, it's taking you 3 weeks, then that's a problem. And the problem may be occupational burnout.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I can't say no better. That's exactly what it is. You're just not as, you're just not on your game like it used to be.
There's an indifference when it comes to your work.
You really don't care. And now I don't need to lose this job, or I don't need to lose these clients or patients or whatever it is. But again, you just kind of don't care how good of a job you actually do.
Right.
So again, that could be a big problem. So now that we kind of again set the stage for recognizing if you are experiencing some burnout, and there's different levels to it. You might be at an early stage of career burnout. You might be right in the middle of it. You might be in the thick of it. So that's going to be up for you to recognize. But let's start talking about the turning point when you recognize when it's time to actually make a change.
Hold on. So before that, let's talk about a few other things, because it doesn't just affect your career.
Oh, okay.
It can affect your personal relationships and how you feel about yourself.
Okay, talk about it.
So when you've had a bad day, you're just not feeling it at work, it's very hard to separate that and not bring that home. So now the burnout that you're experiencing and the indifference that you feel towards your job, you're bringing that same negativity home to your family.
Right.
And then wondering why things aren't going quite well at work, or even how you feel about yourself. You don't, because one part of burnout may be, I'm doing all this, but I don't feel like I'm making a change or affecting anyone's life in a positive way.
Right.
You may be, but you just don't have the same vigor behind it. And so that affects your personal fulfillment, which may make you feel like, okay, I just need to do something completely different.
That's right. And that personal fulfillment thing is huge. It is huge. And, most of us have gotten to a place now where we know life is about more than making money, right?
Right.
It's really about the things you can do with the money, the memories you create, the people you can help along the way, the what money allows you to do. So when you don't have a goal, if you will, for that personal fulfillment, it can really, really start to mess with your head, and like you say, you just kind of spinning your wheels, bringing negative stuff home to the family, and again, you may not even know where all this is coming from,
Exactly.
but it's coming from, it possibly could be coming from, you just burn out. You just don't have a lot of gas left in the tank.
Right.
You can still do it. You can do it with the best of them when you got a full tank of gas.
Right.
But right now, you're just having problems filling the tank up. So let's jump back over there and talk about, that turning point, recognizing when it's, I think we've kind of set the table of recognizing when it's time to make that change. But making a change.
How?
How do we
make that
it's
change?
easy to sit, in the studio and talk about, hey, you need to make a change. Well, that's easy. Making changes is often not easy. And one of the, I'm just going to put it out there, one of the biggest things that I've seen to keep people from making the changes they know they need to make is a prison that I call fear. People have heard me, if you follow me on any of my social media platforms, you may have heard me say it. Fear has imprisoned more people than our entire justice system at the state, local, and federal level. Fear, man. But you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, I remember when, so to go back a little bit, when we started P3 back in 2002, I still worked in corporate America. And I remember I was in the grocery store and I called my mom and I told her that I was thinking about leaving my corporate job to work with Reggie and P3. And my mom is from a Fortune 100 background, zero entrepreneurship. That just wasn't her path in life. But what she told me, which kind of helped dissipate the fear, was you can always get another job. Right. And that kind of put things in perspective for me. So just because I was choosing to do something different and make a change didn't mean that I automatically got rid of all the skills and experience that I had that got me a job to begin with. So I think recognizing, okay, what can happen? So if I choose B, what's the worst that can happen? If I choose A, what's the worst that can happen? And the great thing about life is a lot of things can be changed. Like a lot of things can be fixed if you make a bad decision. Not everything, but a lot of things can.
Yeah, that's right. You know, when I think about fear and how I've witnessed it imprison people, and to a degree it imprisons us all. Some of us just figure it out quicker than others. I look at probably one of the biggest fears I had was I never really feared failing. But what I did not recognize early on was that I actually had a fear of success.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, but I don't think they properly understand that. And mine was I often muted, especially in the earlier years, accomplishments that I was making. I would dial it down so that other people could feel comfortable.
Right.
You know, there was I think some people call it success guilt. You know, and I can remember. Especially when I would go back home, that I would kind of not want to stand out, not want to do things to draw attention. And again, it's this cloud that kind of hangs over. So what ends up happening is when you do that, subconsciously, you have a governor on your own success because you don't want to put yourself out there too much because you don't want to, I don't know what people are going to say. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of, but, other people wrestle with fear of failure too. I might make a mistake. But I'm going to tell you what I believe, whether it's fear of success, fear of failure, fear of yada, 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 whatever it is, I think the strongest one out of all the fears that keep people where they are is fear of what someone else is going to say. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest one.
Even with the fear, like you said, fear of failure or fear of success, I've seen a lot of people who have fear of success and they make excuses for why they're successful. That's still, the root of that is still a fear of what other people think.
Right.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter. Like you can poll people. If you do something, there are going to be some people who think it's great, and there's going to be some people that think it's horrible. Those people are going to flip-flop. You are never going to get the consensus of everyone. So somebody will put you on a pedestal. That same person may take you off the pedestal.
That's right.
So you cannot be fearful of what other people think. You have to live your life and do what you think is best for you, your family, and your loved one.
That's it. Because people are going to talk about you no matter what you do. Either way. They talked about Jesus and all he did went around healing and saving people. So, right. People are going to always have something to say. And if that's I know people that can sing very well, but they won't do it because of what people may say, or they can, they have a business that's inside of them, a book they want to write, whatever the case may be, but they're always concerned about. And the thing is, the people that they most concerned about saying something typically aren't successful people.
Right.
These are people who ain't got anything going on in their life other than talking about folk. And that's the person you're afraid of to move forward. That makes no sense.
At all.
Because successful people are busy doing what it is they did to obtain success and push the boundaries even further, most likely, I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. Those are the people that's going to encourage you.
Right.
They're not going to be talking bad about you. So those are the people you need to be linked up with anyway. The people that's going to be talking about you, you need to be trying to share those relationships as period.
And nobody else can write your story. You know what you want to do. You know what gives you fulfillment and joy. And you may be a brain surgeon, but really want to be a barista.
Right.
Open your own coffee shop and be a barista because you want the interaction between people and you're passionate about coffee. That's okay. Some people may see that and be like, oh, they must have gotten in trouble or got fired from their job and now that's why they're a barista. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You write your own story.
That's exactly right. So I tell you what, guys, so, we just kind of talked about, recognizing when it's time to make that change. If you're feeling those feelings or not. And you can better assess that better than anyone else. And also, again, really ask yourself, what is it that's keeping me from trying something new? Is it fear? Is it, again, there's a lot of different fears, but just really dig into that for yourself. So what I want you to stay with us in this next segment, because we're gonna push on toward things like reframing the definition of success and learning how to identify some new opportunities. So be sure to stay with us after this quick break, and we look forward to spending some more time with you guys. And we're back.
All right. So in the last segment, we talked about what burnout actually is. What are some of the keys or the symptoms that you have from burnout and making a turning point. So now let's talk about reframing success.
Okay.
From the time that you are little, when you can talk, your parents and other people around you always want to know what you want to be.
So what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right. So they start at a very young age. You don't even know what you want to eat for dinner that day. You haven't even figured out what you like and what you don't. But they want to know what you want to be and do for the entire rest of your life.
The whole rest of your life.
Right. So, and
most of them, they themselves aren't doing what they said they were going to do anyway.
Exactly.
I digress.
And they start framing your idea of success. Mm-hmm. So society says success is going to school, getting an education, graduating, getting a good job, and working in said career.
Right.
So anytime that we're doing something that does not fit societal's role or societal's idea of success, then we feel unsuccessful. Mm. But we need to reframe what is success. And success is pursuing something that gives you joy.
Right.
And it's the entire journey. It's not just the end. It's the entire journey. So as you're thinking about the burnout and what you may want to do differently, think about what actually gives you joy. What is it that you gravitate to on TV that you love to watch? What is it that you read? What is it that you watch on YouTube? What is that one thing or a few things that you could do all day long and not feel like it's work? Mm-hmm. Then that may be what you are going to be successful at.
I agree 100%. There's a definition of success that I learned from Earl Nightingale, mm-hmm. That I've committed to memory. And he said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It's the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And
so what does that mean?
So what that means is you got to start with the end in mind, okay? For instance, you take the person that wants to be a teacher, mm-hmm. right? That's the end goal. At the moment they start working toward that goal, they are already successful. Mm-hmm. Because the success, like you just mentioned, is the journey to the end. It's not attaining. The success part is the journey that gets there. In the financial planning space, people think that there's a magical number that you need to reach in order to consider yourself successful or ready to retire, whatever. And it's actually not. But again, success is once you start working toward a definite goal, then you're already successful because it's the journey.
And the path for that journey can change. Just like if we were traveling cross country and a road was closed, we would have to take an alternate route.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's a better route or a worse route. It's just an alternate route. And sometimes you have to do that in life as well.
So tell us, how does this play exactly into the whole concept of, career burnout, fatigue, that sort of thing? Where does this redefining of success, where does that come into the picture?
So when you decide that success isn't necessarily that traditional definition that we've been taught, then that gives you freedom to explore other
Right.
things that will give you fulfillment.
You don't have to feel bad about getting off, the railroad track or the career path that
Right.
you were on. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Well, one of the things that, again, I think that I hear from people is, well, I would do that, but I'm really concerned about my financial security or my independence or what have you. And quite, hey, that's a very legitimate concern. I'm not gonna, especially as a certified financial planner, I'm not gonna tell you, oh no, we shouldn't worry about that at all. No, that doesn't make much sense. But I will say this though, there's a difference between financial security and financial independence. And once you understand the difference, you may shift what it is you're actually working towards. So financial security is basically the ability to meet current and future financial needs. So which is a great goal, right?
Okay.
To be able to pay your bills, to be able to your bills now, and your bills in the future. Absolutely great need. Financial independence, though, is a little different. Financial independence is the ability to live without the need for an active income. That's financial independence. So what do you mean you say active income? Basically, what I'm saying is you can support your lifestyle from a passive income
Without trading time for money.
without trading time, or not just time for money, without having to come to the office. You might not necessarily get paid by the hour, but you no longer have to actively work.
Right. Which is still, though,
Yeah,
trading
it's
your
still,
time for money.
yeah, I guess you're right. Still trading time for money. So financial independence, it gives you the ability to live without having. Basically, active working becomes optional. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you can keep working, but you don't have to. You got enough passive income to cover your expenses. And again, and that's another thing I've learned too down through the years. Everybody has the freedom to define retirement the way they want to define it. For some people, it's the point that they'll never work again. For other people, it's the point at which they're going to start their own business. For some people, it's the point at which they want the option of not going to work. But again, I would challenge you all to make it a goal to work towards financial independence and not necessarily financial security.
So, how does this go hand in hand when we talk about burnout and redefining your path and reframing your success?
Well, if you've been pursuing your career and you find yourself again right smack dab in the middle, probably what's keeping you there where you are is because you're searching for financial security. And again, I'm telling you, it's obviously that's what we want to a degree, but again, that's what's keeping you there because you want the security. It takes a little more dreaming, a little more freedom mindedness, if that's a word, to be able
Not sure, but
it's
yeah.
going to be today, to be able to chase financial independence. You got it. It involves a little more risk.
It does.
To be able to put something in place, some sort of an asset or a group of assets or whatever it may be in place that's going to produce enough income to now work becomes optional. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it fits in. Again, if financial security is your biggest overwhelming need, then you're going to stay right there on those railroad tracks. You're not going to deviate. I tell people all the time, going through this thing we call life is more like travel on the interstate, not a railroad track. Interstate, you can get off on this exit, do something, get back on, still going toward the goal. You might deviate a little bit, whatever the case. But railroad tracks, no deviation. So, but that's where it comes in at.
So, let me ask you this. What should people do when they know that they need to do something different, but they don't know what that is? They don't know. Sometimes you can be so into what you have going on that you even forget what makes you happy.
Yeah. Well, you gotta first figure out what it is that makes you happy. And I think you kind of hit on it when you said that figuring out what it is that you naturally gravitate to. If you do have downtime, what is it that kind of puts a smile on your face? Or if you see someone else doing it, what is something you see other people doing that you can't pull yourself away from? I'll just tell y'all this, Ebony loves cooking shows, and she loves people competing with cooking shows and all this kind of stuff. So if you see yourself, something you just can't peel yourself away from, and other people, and sometimes other people will recognize it in you and you don't see it. Keep saying, you know what, you should do. So, and if you're kind of hearing that same you should do from people that's not related to each other, they don't have any affiliation with each other, but they're kind of sending you the same signals and vibes, it may be something there. You know, you may need to explore it, like, maybe I could do this, you know? And then maybe turns into, I'm gonna go for it.
Right, right.
So I think this is a good spot right here to just kind of plug the title of this podcast.
Right.
It's called Elevate. I'm gonna just take a step back and give people some backdrop on where this name came from, how did it grow into this podcast, and just kind of what happened. So I guess it's been about 2 years ago now. Ebony and I, we were out of town, and one thing I've learned, I can do some of my best thinking when I'm away from my office, away from my house, I'm out of town, and I love driving.
We love road trips.
Love road trips. So when I'm on the road, I can really get some good thinking in. But anyway,
Hold on, and sometimes on the road trip, the good ideas come because we don't even turn the music on.
That's
We'll
right.
it may be a 6-hour drive and we're just talking and coming up with ideas the whole time.
They just seem to flow. But we was having one of those times, and we were talking about, quite frankly, friends of ours who, I mean, a lot of my friends, we've been friends since college days, and we've just kind of grown together even through our professional lives. And how many of them were mentioning to us that, man, just kind of feeling burnt out. I want to do something different. I want to, look at this, look at that. And we were thinking about putting together what initially was going to be like a one-day conference where we would bring some speakers in and we would invite people to come take advantage of it and hear from these dynamic
And
speakers.
different sessions.
Breakout sessions and things like that. And had even thought about reaching out to one or two celebrities to be on the panel. And we were marching down that road, and I told everybody, I said, I just don't feel like one day is enough. I think people will leave motivated, but not necessarily with the tools they need to affect real change. And go ahead.
Sometimes you get all the information that you can in a one-day session,
Right.
and then you still leave, like you said, without an actionable game plan.
Yeah. So, motivation is kind of like a shower. You need that every day.
Right.
But but sometimes you need more than just a hype feeling to really affect some change. So what ended up happening was we decided to not go at least not now. We haven't done the conference route, but we decided to put together an advanced financial planning an advanced financial training program that would take people. It was not, a one-on-one type deal. It was really designed for the same people that are kind of middle professionals, middle career professionals who, again, need some tools or some practical tools to be able to break out from where they are and maybe explore something new. So we put together a 6-month cohort. We've already done the first one. It's very successful. We brought in 12, including myself and Ebony, 10 others besides her and I, professionals who actually do what they taught. They do it for a living. So it was a very dynamic program, great feedback. People have, right now, I know people from the program who are exploring some more real estate opportunities, looking at some government contracts and different things like that. So
And it was great because they went through the program together. So it's 12 classes. And like he said, it's a cohort. So each class, we're all together with the same people, and they get to know each other, and they get to share ideas and possibly even do business together. So it was just a great experience overall. It was definitely a success.
It was. And so so from there, we decided opportunity presented itself to do this podcast. So we wanted to keep the name of the podcast Elevate, just like the name of the training program. So that's how that all came about. And one of the things we talked about that I want to take off on right now in that cohort was exploring side hustles. See, here's the thing, guys. You don't have to give up what it is you're doing in your career, in your profession, to be able to put a side hustle in place. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, the word side hustle kind of has a negative connotation, but it doesn't have to. Just think about this. What if you put something in place that just generated an extra $1,000 a month? Mm-hmm. And then what if you put something in place that generated $1,000 a month without you having to be there?
Right.
Oh, now you really own to something. But how do you identify? How do you identify a good side hustle? You might want to tell them about one of the side hustles you came up with.
So back in 2011, I was pregnant with our youngest daughter and just wanted a way to contribute more to the household and was just thinking about some things that we can do. So with P3, the way P3 is set up, it's a relationship type of company. And we were truly looking for something that took the relationship part out of it. We were just selling something. And I love to bake and I love cookies. So Ebb's Cookies was born. I thought about some of the things that I like in a cookie, and it was gourmet. Like, these weren't cookies that we would joke because kids may take a bite of the cookie and set it aside. This ain't that kind of cookie. Like, these are adult cookies with real chocolate. But I was able to turn that simple idea into a pretty good side hustle, and people still ask me for them today.
They do. And we keep saying we need to grow that side hustle into its own business. So that'll come too.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. That's right. But so one of the things that you can do when you talk about, just kind of leveraging, you say, okay, Reg, or you may say, okay, I'm not 100% sure what it is I can do. Because I always tell people, find something to sell. You always got something you can sell. So let's say, you can, Amazon produces absolutely nothing, right? But people, they sell millions of items, but they don't have a manufacturing plant. So they just, either they buying stuff and reselling it, or people are reselling on their platform. But anyway, I mean, that's pretty big. But let's think about all the experience you have right now in your head that you've accumulated, that you know how to do better than everyone else at your job. That information is worth something.
Correct. You
could be a consultant. You could start to train people outside of the job. Those skills can be transferable to a whole nother business for which they're willing to pay for. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what I'm saying? So
right. You can write a book. You can do an ebook. You can do a manual. You can do a career guide. The possibilities are unlimited.
They really are, man. So I was talking to a police officer one time, and who needed some extra income for something he had going on. And I said, hey, look, why don't you start a self-defense class for women and children, right? And I said, if you charged them $100, I said, if you just did one class a month, and you say, okay, I'm gonna sign up 50 women, 50 times 100, that's at 5,000. Mm-hmm. That's some good extra money,
right?
On something that you already got experience in, something you already have credentials in, something as simple as that. So there are things that you have in your head that you know how to do already, that you are not giving, you're selling to the job because they're giving you a check, but you can do those same things. So you don't necessarily, I say all that to say, you don't have to come up with something brand new, something that's going to take you away from what it is you do. You already have what you need to be able to launch a very impactful side hustle that can turn possibly into passive income that can now make work optional.
And I guarantee you there is someone out there who is selling something similar, and they have less experience and less education than you, but they are selling it. So Absolutely. If they can do it, you definitely can do it.
I'm telling you, they're probably doing a half-butt job at it, and yours would be much, much better.
And I think even so in my career, we didn't really get into it, but I'm an accountant. And when I look on TikTok or Instagram, there's a difference between content creators and people who are accountants or whatever your profession is for a living. So they may not have the same experience, they may not have the same education, but they've learned a little bit about said profession, and they have become content creators and they're making a lot of money. So if they can do it, you have all of the backing. You definitely can do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Eb, I know as we were preparing for this, you mentioned that you've seen people do just career pivots.
Yes,
So tell us a little bit about that.
So I've seen people who started in a particular career and then decided, you know what, I want to do something different. One person in particular, they were in education for years and decided to do a complete pivot into logistics, and they absolutely love it. And that's perfectly fine. And the thing is, you can't feel guilty you can't feel like you're throwing away all of the years and all of the experience that you had, because even if you're doing something different, all of that experience makes you the person that you are today, which is what making you successful in your next career.
Right. That's great.
And you have an example. Police officer to nurse.
Oh yeah, one of my fraternity brothers. He very successful police officer, did well, MPD, and retired, and now he's a registered nurse. 100% career pivot and keeping it moving. So people do it all the time. And again, I just think that sometimes we so pigeonholed into what we went to school for that we almost feel guilty when we start to look outside of that window. We think about, mom sacrificed, dad sacrificed to put me through school, and they are so happy the day I got that degree, and so I got to do this for the rest of my life. Well, you may, but there's nothing wrong with putting something on the side.
Or you may not.
But there's nothing wrong with adding something to the side as well. So when I think about people that say, well, Reg, all this sounds great, but how does this play into my financial picture? Overall, again, with I gotta stay level headed and think about, I do want to retire. I don't want to risk too much money. I don't want to do this and that. First of all, let's temper that down a little taste and recognize that some of that talking is fear talking. Now, the practical side of that is, here's what I would suggest. I do not encourage people to raid their retirement accounts to launch a business. I just don't. I don't encourage people to raid their savings and things of that nature to launch a venture or what have you. There are money sources out there that's for those particular risks. Okay, so if you're doing 100% change, and you're like, okay, I'm throwing caution to the wind, I'm about to just dive deep into this business venture, what have you. Of course, you want to have all your ducks in a row, but do not put your hard-earned retirement money at risk.
Agreed.
We want to talk. We want to give some banks, some investors. We want to do it a different way. So,
and I also add, do your research.
Absolutely.
Just because you can make a good pie doesn't mean that you can run a pie business.
That's right.
So definitely do your research. You were diligent in your career, in your profession. So you want to take that same diligence into your side hustle or whatever's next, career pivot. You don't want to go in blindly.
There's a great book called The E-Myth. And what we'll probably do is dedicate an entire episode to what you just said. And that is, there's a different skill set between making a widget and running a widget business.
Definitely.
All right. So again, like Eb said, because you can bake a good pie does not translate into running a bakery. All right. So we'll dedicate an entire episode to that.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. So anyway, here's the thing. As we wrap this first episode up, what I want to do, Eb, you may have some closing remarks too. I want to encourage the listeners to take one small step, one action step. It could be as simple as just jotting down some things I would like to do, right? Or it may be as simple as jotting down, you know what, I am feeling career burnout or fatigue, just writing it down. Or you may take a larger step in identifying some things that you want to do to possibly make a pivot, make a change.
I agree. And like you said, start with the list. And then each of those items on the list, there's a solution for it. So just think about what that solution, it can be anywhere from it's something that you have to do as part of your career that you no longer enjoy. Maybe you can pay someone else to do that. Maybe you can pay someone else to take some of the personal things off of your plate that you need to do. Definitely want to encourage you to take one action, one small step.
Absolutely. So, guys, as we move toward, we close this segment out. The next segment we're going to do is we're going to just kind of walk you through our timeline, our story of how we started P3 Financial Group. It's a very interesting story. It's a tale of ups, downs, in betweens, and we're going to give you all of them. We started from the bottom with a newsletter, and now we're here. So I'll leave you with this right here as we close this one out. Just remember this, guys. Burnout isn't the end. It's the beginning of something greater.
I like that.
Oh, yeah. So we look forward to spending some time with you next week. And remember, let's all elevate.
All right. See you then.